Let's talk about publicly traded companies. And I want to focus on a couple of different companies who've recently announced that they're going to go public via SPAC acquisition, which is a special acquisition company. And basically, these special acquisition corporations, like these special acquisition companies, are able to, they're a pool of investor money that basically is a fund that they then want to fund a venture, and then that will merge with some company and then be able to take that company public. The idea behind this is that then that publicly traded company can get funding from being traded on the market, and once enough investors pile into that actual SPAC, and then once it merges, that new company will get the investment and hopefully continue getting investment, and the share price will go up, obviously. So the idea behind the SPAC is to be able to fund this company long term and be able to sustain this company and preferably grow it along the way, right? Like the idea is a lot of growth, hopefully rapid growth for in the beginning at least. And what I've noticed a lot of people doing is there are some companies who are going public via SPAC, and people are questioning whether or not that's a viable option in today's climate. And I want to address why this is a actually mostly positive thing, in my opinion. I think there are some negatives, some drawbacks, but overall, I think that this is a good play for these companies. So two companies recently have announced that they're going to go public via SPAC acquisition. And one of them is Truth Social, which is going to be Trump's social media company that he's decided to branch out and create because he was tired of being banned on the other platforms. So the idea was that he was going to create his own platform, or actually the way that their pitch looks like, it looks like a set of platforms. So it looks like they want to have a sort of global Truth Social brand with the, to match Google to some degree, I guess, to have all of the different competing services with that. So, Truth Social, and then now more recently, we've seen that Rumble, which is a video platform that Trump is on, and that a lot of the big, I guess, conservative voices are already on. So a lot of these conservative people have gotten on Rumble and either mirrored their content from YouTube, or they're just posting some stuff. Sometimes they stream exclusively to Rumble, depending on whatever their circumstance is. But Rumble has taken off a lot after a lot of the bannings from YouTube and a lot of the censorship from YouTube, and YouTube, doing things like removing dislikes most recently. I'm sure you'll see that on this video, that you actually won't see the dislike count. That doesn't mean I want you to dislike this video. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this discussion. But overall, the idea of going public via SPAC, a lot of people are wary about this because they think that going public is entirely a bad thing. It can never be a good thing, because a lot of companies that go public, they end up being enforced by like a mob of people. And then the mob, basically the Twitter mob, can then run rampant over a corporation and say, if a company like Rumble that says that they're free speech, if they have the Twitter mob coming after them and the board of investors, the company board, they're sitting there and wondering what's going on, why are people in an uproar about Rumble, then they might just say, hey, well, you've got to censor more, because that's what the people want. And it may not even be people who use the service, right? We see this all the time with a lot of different companies that people don't even use the product, and yet they end up complaining about the product. Like, people will complain about a lot of different products, and they don't even use the product, or they don't even care about the product. it's like people who have never ever played a Call of Duty game in their life complaining about Call of Duty because and when they're not even the target demographic, they're not even the people who want to buy the game. So it would be like that. Whereas someone like me criticizing Call of Duty, especially like this year's Call of Duty, it would be from a place of understanding the product and criticizing the product. But that's just an aside, I guess. The idea that the Twitter mob can kind of influence these companies and influence these brands and basically cause an uproar, especially on Twitter, and be able to run rampant over these corporations and be able to, publicly traded companies typically, and get them to change their policies in one way or another. Now, I do think that that's a concern. That's a valid concern because we've seen it play out time and again with a lot of these companies. But I think that to some degree, you have to give credit to Rumble because they've been operating without the need for all of this funding. And I think that what they're trying to do now at this point is to actually make the next leap. And I think that to make the leap to compete with a YouTube, they're going to need a lot of funding. That's just the bare bones like discussion of it. Just you need more money to compete with YouTube. And obviously their site seems very primitive compared to YouTube. So they're going to want better developers. They're going to want a lot of different features added. They're going to want a lot of capability to manage a lot of the stuff that they're going to do. So they need a lot more funding. And with that, there is going to come some of this corporate bureaucracy, obviously. And I don't like that, but I would prefer not. But it seems like every corporation is going that way. So what I'm thinking is that any SPAC that would be willing to merge with Rumble, and this is where my crux of the argument is, and why I think that this is overall a net positive. Any SPAC company like that would actually want to merge with Rumble, I'm sure that they would have to have these discussions about whether or not that this merger would be valid and that they would be fine with Rumble as a company operating the way that they do. I don't think that necessarily them going public just means that they've compromised everything that they are. I think that it's a high likelihood. I think that there's a very good chance that by going public that they can then lose the identity of the platform, and then all of a sudden it's just like it's no different from YouTube at that point. But I think that the way that they're doing this, the brand that they already have, I think that people are understating like how beneficial this can be to Rumble as a platform for them to get a lot of funding from the SPAC company and then be able to catapult themselves up to the level of, say, a YouTube, and then be able to actually try to compete. And if they can actually get to the point where they can compete with YouTube, then we're going to have a serious, serious thing on our hands. If we can have the normies coming over to Rumble and actually enjoying being over on Rumble, seeing, good content being created over there, especially, that's not completely censored, it's going to be a lot better for overall for the entire ecosystem of social media, I guess. So I view this as a positive, and even with the Truth Social, people would say that Trump taking this company public is going to be a huge problem. But like I said, the idea comes from that any company that's willing to partner clearly with Trump or partner with like Rumble, and be knowing what these companies are, knowing who these personalities are, and what their brand identity and what their goals are and what they want to accomplish. If those goals don't align with the SPAC, then likely they wouldn't be getting this SPAC offer to merge the company together. And that's where I think that a lot of people are missing this point. And I think that it's going to be beneficial for all social media in the long run. But you know, I could be wrong. I think that them having this funding though will make them competitive, will make them more viable, will make them, you know, just have more of a presence in the mind of people, and be able to actually handle a lot of this stuff going on. You know, stuff like Getter and Parler, they're not publicly traded companies yet. Although I wouldn't, you know, I'm going to make a prediction. They're both are going to go public at some point. They just need the users. They need the capability to compete. And I know that there's a lot of these platforms that are kind of competing for the same pie, right? You know, Getter and Parler are competing for the same thing. I'm sure Truth Social will be competing for the same thing. And I think that this kind of competition is really good. And I think that we're going to need more of these companies going public. And I think that there's a great opportunity here to actually have a lot of these sort of public companies become companies that are anti the establishment, and anti this whole agenda of trying to, like, you know, bow down to the mob and do all these, you know, sort of corporate thing. Now they may still do corporate speak. I mean, I'm not saying all corporations do that, but I mean it's very aside from the whole, like, you know, hey, we must censor our users, you know, we have to be responsible as a platform. I guess it's the platitudes, not necessarily the corpo speak. It's the platitudes that these you know, social media companies are trying to say, hey, we're going to be the arbiters of truth, and we're going to be the arbiters of making sure that people are safe. And we just don't need that. We don't need people managing that for us. We don't need people trying to make us safe in the online world. We just need the capability to handle all of that on our own, and preferably having a good platform to be able to have these discussions on, especially about current events and current topics. But that's all I had for this. I just wanted to talk about this. You know, I think that the Rumble and, you know, Truth Social SPAC mergers are both going to do really well. I think that they wouldn't have made that choice if they didn't think that they were going to do well, and if they didn't think that they were going to be able to keep that identity of the brand. But I could be proven wrong, and I guess only time will tell. I hope you know, you've enjoyed this video discussion. Leave your thoughts on below. Like, what do you think about the companies, especially, you know, non-woke companies going public via SPAC, and then trying to you know, get their brand out there in that way? What do you think? Do you think this is overall positive? Do you think this is a negative, or what do you know? What are your thoughts? Just leave those thoughts down below in the comments. If you liked the video, if you've enjoyed this discussion, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm going to have more discussions like this. I like to talk about different social political topics, especially whenever they also involve the financial sort of aspect of it. But that's all I have for this video. Check all my links in the description, and check you know, I do have some crypto wallet addresses. If you feel like contributing, I would be forever grateful. But that's all I have. This is Trey's Think Tank, signing out.